All right, welcome back to the Roast It Yourself podcast, brought to you by Coffee Bean Corral and Current Crop Roasting Shop. I'm Stephen Burnett from Coffee Bean Corral in Jackson, Mississippi, and with me is Catherine Mansell, certified Q grader and director of Current Crop Roasting Shop in New Orleans, Louisiana. Catherine, how are you?
I'm good. I never ask you how you're doing. You tell me how you're doing today, Stephen.
Man, I feel touched. I was hoping no one ever asks. No, I'm kidding. We're doing good here. We're doing good. We're having it's finally starting to feel like a touch, like a hint of fall. It's been
Hmm.
kind of like you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm not already just sweating walking out to my car.
Right. Yeah.
How it normally is in summer. So very pleased with that, and everything at Coffee Bean Corral is rocking and rolling. So thank you for asking. It's so
Yeah.
sweet. Well, each week we set aside about 10 minutes to field questions from home coffee roasters and professionals alike about roasting, tasting, and most importantly, enjoying coffee. You can send your questions to questions@riypod.com. It's questions@riypod.com to get a nice shout out from us, and of course, to get your question answered. This one, we need to get like a gold jacket when someone's question gets answered like 5 or 6 times on the show. Like we
Yeah.
need to start working up one for LJ because he's just got a ton of questions and
Yes.
we've answered them multiple times. He's just a good dude, friend
Mhm.
of Current Crop, friend of the show. And
Yes.
so LJ asked us I think a really good, short, sweet, but excellent question, which is, are single origin coffees actually better than blends? Are single
Hmm.
origin coffees actually better than blends? And I can tell by your face that you have thoughts on this. And so,
I
Catherine,
do.
are they better? Are they?
Uh, well, that depends on what you're looking for. So I love single origin coffees because I like to taste what each coffee growing region and then each country in that region, I get to taste what they have to offer, what they've been working on. You can take a variety in one region, have it planted and grown in another region, and then taste how it changes because of the environment. So I like to keep it single origin so I can be specific about what I'm tasting and what I'm learning from all of these changes in the environment from one region or country to the next.
Just to
But
interrupt that real quick, a great example of this is the Typica that we discussed a few episodes ago, and how that when that arrives in Jamaica versus Haiti and the Haitian blue, the Jamaica blue mountain, how that variety changes based on where it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
And of course, another example is geisha. Geisha
Mhm.
coffees are the same kind of thing about where they're very similar, but where they're grown makes a difference.
One more sidebar, just because I talked about it
Yeah.
today. I'm doing an intro to varietals at the NOLA Coffee Fest, and I've been working really hard to get as much information as possible. What I learned today about the geisha variety in Panama originally, the reason why they even moved it up to a higher elevation was to get away from these coffee diseases. So it really wasn't even, let's plant it higher just to see what it tastes like. They had to plant it higher to get away from these coffee diseases. And then they cupped it and they thought, well, we just figured this out. So just that one thing completely changed the entire coffee game.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's a two for one. You got away from the diseases and you
Uh-huh.
discovered this amazing new flavor
Right.
profile. That's okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry to we can come off these sidebars. You may continue. Sorry about the
Sure.
interruption.
Yeah. So, but something that I do, I really like the fruity and floral notes that I get out of coffees from Ethiopia. But I also like the earthy cedar tobacco notes that I get from a classic Sumatran coffee. So a lot of times if I want both of those together, I'll take these really good quality coffees, mix them up, play around with the percentages just so I can pick up all of that, all of those tasting notes in one cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My first thought when I hear this question is there's something about it that is really true about the coffee industry, and that is that I feel like for a long time blends were a way for roasters to hide low quality beans in a blend. Like you put a bunch of coffees together and you're not going for specific notes, you're going for breakfast, you
Right.
know, or
Yeah.
dark, right?
Right.
And so it's a way of hiding like lower quality coffees in with a bunch of other stuff. And there's some, I mean, it's a business strategy at the end of the day, but it doesn't produce the best, enjoyable beverage at the other end
Yeah.
of it. And that's what we're concerned with here. But I would say that if you have high quality coffees in your blend, if you have, these coffees that Coffee Bean Corral and Current Crop Roasting Shop sell that are amazing single origins, just standalone,
Yeah.
and you mix them together, like Catherine's talking about, for to bring out different attributes of each, it can be really beneficial. You can get the best of all the worlds, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's some strategy to that. There's some strategy to that, but I think that a high quality blend is going to be a really enjoyable coffee, and not any better or worse necessarily than a single origin, just different.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about this, I drink a lot of espresso, and then I roast for espresso. And I mean, of course, there's not an espresso roast. You can enjoy light roast, medium, dark. You can enjoy it however, but a lot of times in espresso in particular, you will make a blend that enables you to kind of like get multiple characteristics you're looking for in the shot. And
Yeah.
so, you might get something fruity like an Ethiopian coffee, like a natural, something fruity in there. But you don't want just that. Maybe you want something with a little more body and a little more classic. So you throw a Brazil in there too, right? If you are slightly vain. You might put a little bit of Robusta in this blend to get that extra crema
A
coming
little
out
bit.
of your
Yeah.
portafilter, right?
Hmm.
Or if you maybe just want some more caffeine. But
Hmm.
the point is, as long as you're dealing with high quality coffees to begin with, and you know what you're doing, blending them, which honestly, trial and error, right? Trial and error. I think blends can be just as good as single origins and fulfill a
Yeah.
different role.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else on that, Catherine?
No, I don't think so. I tried something maybe a couple of years ago. Everyone, if you've ever spoken to me, knows my favorite coffee is Tanzania Pea Berry. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
But I also like Papua New Guinea Organic Purosa. Love that coffee. It's so consistent. So I was just having fun one day, mixed them together. I think I just did half and half, uh,
Hmm.
50%, 50%. And it actually roasted well together, which is uncommon. I mean,
Wow.
at Coffee Bean Corral, the beans are already blended together because they roast well together. But you never
Right.
really know with density and bean size if it's going to roast well together. These two just happened to roast really well together, so I nailed it. And you get that fruitiness, and you get that cane sugar and caramel from the Papua New Guinea. It's
Wow.
fantastic. So that's one that I really stand behind. Two really high quality single origin beans mixed together. It just brings out all of these different notes for your palate.
Well, totally. And because we have a little bit of time, let's talk a little bit about like how to do a good blend. I mean,
Sure.
I am a fan of keep it simple, stupid, right? Like I want to do it that way. So starting with a 50-50 is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Another one is, third, a third, a third, 33% of each is another
Yeah.
good one. Like you can always tweak, you can always adjust, your ratios. But yeah, I would start with a couple. And the other tip I always give people is if you're going to do blending, be sure you know what the coffee tastes like single origin. That
Yeah.
way you know what flavor ingredients you're adding. And so when you do your half and half blend, if you go, man, I really wanted more of that fruit from this,
Yeah.
the pea berry, maybe you would maybe do a 60-40, right?
Mhm.
You could
Yeah.
adjust it if you know what's already in the coffee.
Mhm.
And the other thing I'll say is go for with different regions too.
Mhm.
Go with something African, go with something
Yeah.
Central American,
Mhm.
go with something even Indonesian. Like mix
Mhm.
different regions together and see what you get. I love a Brazilian as like kind of a base.
Mhm.
I think most of the blends I've ever made up, part of it's been Brazilian, just because it has that body and it's got
Mhm.
that classic coffee
Yeah.
flavor. So
Right.
I really enjoy that. But
Yeah.
and then last thing I'll say, and you can throw it to you for anything else. But last thing I'll say is blending is a really great way if you're wanting consistency in a coffee. Like say you have a business and you're roasting for regular clients or you're roasting for coffee shops. You don't want to be changing it up all the time on these people. So a blend is really great because even if one coffee a constituent either is not available
Yeah.
or maybe it's available but it tastes significantly different than the previous year,
Yeah.
you can sub in something else that's going to continue and kind of do that job that coffee was doing with
Yeah.
a minimal impact on consistency overall. So it's a great
Yeah.
strategy for consistency in your business or whatever else you got
Yeah.
going on. So,
Yeah.
and Catherine,
100%.
anything else on that?
No, I don't think so. Keep in mind, I did this blend a couple of years ago, so it may not work if you jump and grab both of them and mix them together. It may not work
I
exactly the same.
I
Uh,
heard a glowing recommendation with a guarantee of enjoyment on the other side of it. So we'll
right,
see.
right. Yeah.
I'm back. I'm probably going to do that actually after we get off here. I've got to go roast some of that. I think I've got some at home, so we'll figure it out. But
Perfect.
I'm sure we left something out. We always leave just so many things out.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes, guys.
Yeah.
We can't possibly get everything in here. So,
Right.
but that's your job. Your job in the comments is to fill out the things that we missed. Is to tell us the things you think we're wrong about. That's what we want to hear in there. So hop in those comments, let us know, fill out the information here so we can be a resource to everybody. And yeah, we just want to say thank you guys for listening to the show, sharing it, commenting, subscribing so you get it every single week. It really helps us grow and take over the world. That's our goal at the end of the day, like Pinky in the Brain. We're doing it. And so whatever platform you're on, yeah, definitely share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We also I just want to say thank you to our graphic designer, Jatavian Walker, and our audio video guy, the man behind all of the tech stuff here, Josh Santmeyer. Thank you guys both so much for what you do. Remember, send your questions to questions@riypod.com about anything coffee roasting specifically, coffee cupping, drinking, grading, all the things. We're here to answer your question. If we don't know, we'll look it up. We will. We have done some research for these
Oh,
episodes
yeah.
before. It's not entirely off the top of our heads. But we'll do the work and we'll give you a good answer. So questions at riypod.com. But otherwise, have a great day and happy roasting.
Happy roasting. Bye.